everyone, I am Blue Mullet. I am back to building the BMK'NEX replica guns. This is my all-new Steyr AUG A3. It is the M1 Shorty variant. The A3 M1 is such a clean, more modern AUG. You know, the A1 variant of the AUG uses that iconic scope. They've removed it and put on a nice tactical rail system, which I really like. I think it just cleans up the overall look of the gun. So yeah, you're going to be able to mount any optic that you wish up top. This is a really old style of rail system. It's very strong and sturdy. Up front, obviously we have the little barrel sticking out. Looks like the M1 variant, only I've chopped it down probably by half, just because I really like CQB guns a little bit more than I like the full-length barrel. So that is a little bit different from the real steel AUG, but I really like how it turned out. The foregrip is awesome. Doesn't actually fold, unfortunately. I chose to build it as a strong design, just so that you don't have to worry about it breaking off or anything like that. It does actually hold the weight of the gun entirely. You can even hold the gun up like that. I really like how the handle guard along with the handle turned out. I think they look really nice. I've been working very hard on trying to design handles that are 5 layers thick as opposed to 3 layers thick, just because I want them to be nice, strong, and sturdy. The trigger mechanism is 1 layer thick, but don't let it fool you. It holds a ton of power. It's actually one of the strongest trigger mechanisms that I have ever built. It is connected into a 3-layer thick row of orange connectors, which runs all the way to the back of the stock, which connects directly onto the trigger rocker. The 5.56 mags are going to feed in right into the gun's magazine well. It does a great job of looking like the AUG and also feeding those bullets into the gun's chamber. I'll admit, the gun's magazine release was a very tough cookie for me to crack, but with enough Seagrams and Smirnoff, anything is possible, and I eventually came up with this awesome design. I chose to begin this build with the stock, and I just think that it turned out so nice. I just love the way that it slants down, just like the AUG. I'm liking how it has this little nub down here, like the AUG, and what's even cooler is up on top, I left a giant hole to allow you to have free access to the gun's firing mechanism. Let's talk about firing mechanisms, and more specifically, the 2 firing mechanisms that I have here. This is the AUG, and this is, of course, my Tavar Par 21. We're going to start with the Tavar. This is a pin gun. It is not a standard pin gun. This is a true bolt action pin gun. So it's a really cool design. It's going to take bullets out of the magazine, put them into a chamber, firing them out using a standard pin. That can be seen right over here. But the downside is you have to actually pull the pin back every time to shoot this. You're going to get good range, good power out of this. Just a really cool gun. The AUG is, of course, going to trade this firing mechanism, the standard pin firing mechanism, for a rubber band gun design. That's right, a rubber band gun. This is not. This is a hybrid rubber band gun, because this is going to shoot rubber bands and gray connectors in semi-automatic fashion. It's a really cool design. So that is the trade-off, of course. You get semi-automatic. I'm going to show you how to load and fire the AUG in 2 steps. First, we're going to load up the actual gun with its rubber bands, and then we're going to swap over to the magazine, load it, and then stick it in the gun, and then shoot it, of course. But before I do that, I just need to let you know, I designed this gun to work with size 33 rubber bands. Any other size rubber band, you're going to actually have to modify the gun to get it to work. 117s, 64s, even the 32s won't work with this gun. It's got to be number 33s. These, if you're interested in actually getting the exact bands that I'm using, these are the brand Jam, and I got them, I believe, from Amazon. But let's go ahead and I will show you how to load this gun up with its rubber bands. First, you're going to have to remove the tactical rail system. I have it held in place by 3 push pins. They are located here, and then back here, there are the last 2. There and there. So simply just push them out on this side, just push, push, and then just pull them right out. Like that. And then finally, the one up front. And then the entire rail will just pop right off, revealing the inside of your gun. So right here, up front, right here on these 2 orange connectors, or they're not orange connectors, excuse me, they are yellow connectors, is where the rubber band is going to clip onto. They're going to rest on the two gray spacers, and they're going to get stretched all the way back to this cog. So I will go ahead and show you how I do it. You just take a 33, and then I use my finger, and I'll just push it right down into the yellow connector, as you can see, and then just stretch it all the way back to the rubber band cog back here. And I load it onto this cog right here. Now, this is very important. To load your next rubber band, you have to rotate the cog backwards. To do this, you have to actually pull the trigger. But you need to, before pulling the trigger, you have to apply backwards pressure to your cog. So go ahead and grab the cog and pull it backwards like that, and then hold it. Hold it backwards before pulling the trigger. So once you have it, some backwards pressure on it, pull the trigger, and it's going to go ahead and give you the next cog to load the next rubber band onto. From there, obviously, you would load all 8 shots up and then transition over to the magazine. Here's what the gun looks like when it's all loaded up with 8 rubber bands. As you can see, the double yellow connector hook point is a very nice touch. It's going to allow enough space for the gray connector bullet to traverse the inside of the gun. And here's where the bullet feeds up through. And then obviously the 8-shot cog right there. Your 8 gray connector rounds are going to go right into the magazine. Here is how I have the rubber band laid out. Here's the pusher. So through here, comes up and around through the gray connector, or excuse me, the orange connector hole, to the other side, comes out, and it gets wrapped around. This is a size 16 or 19 rubber band. You can use the 33, 32, 16 or 19 rubber band for this. You'll just have to adjust depending on what rubber band you use to make sure that it's strong enough to push up on the bullets. This is where the magazine kind of stinks. Up to this point, every magazine I've built on the channel has either had a top on it or it's had a lock for the pusher. This doesn't have either. Because it holds the most out of any magazine I've released thus far. It holds 8. So what you're gonna do to load is actually just pull down on the pusher with your finger, and then just begin to load each gray connector in one by one. So you can't have these preloaded, you know, it's not really designed to have preloadable magazines because the gun itself can only hold 8 rubber bands anyways. So it's just kind of, you know, I figured it would work. So we have 8 shots in there, all loaded up. And then obviously you take your gun, take the magazine, stick it right in, and then just release the pusher to begin feeding bullets into the chamber. And from here, I think you know what to do. All right, everyone, and just like that, you are done with your brand new AUG A3 M1. I really hope that you enjoy this gun. I hope you like it a lot. It's a really fun gun to shoot, of course. But there are a lot of things that I want to tell you about this gun before you go ahead and shoot it, just to make sure that your gun is working and everything is placed correctly as far as like the rubber bands and whatnot. So here is a completed AUG, obviously. Make sure that your magazine release is working. You should be able to push it. It should be able to click back out into place like this. Make sure that your trigger's working. Depending on your K'NEX pieces, I think I've said this before in a different video, but the black K'NEX parts are so new that they're so tight, and sometimes there's some variations between my colored version and the black version. And this gun has some differences. One difference is there is no trigger rubber band slotted onto the green connector. If your trigger functions, as in you can pull it and it springs right back into place and it doesn't catch, you don't need a rubber band here. But if you pull the trigger and it catches and won't come back out, then you're going to need to put a rubber band here. So all it's doing is it's catching on your 8 cog back there. So yeah, make sure that this trigger rubber band here for the rocker is placed on the white rod, the blue rod, and not on the yellow rod. There cannot be anything on this yellow rod or else it will actually mess the gun up. It is that sensitive. This yellow rod is placed perfectly with the tan clips, so the tan clips have to be positioned like this in order for it to work. I know, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, that is about it. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said about the gun. Let's talk about the magazine real quick. Here is the mag. I have the rubber band placed like this on the pusher. It goes through the orange connector in there, wraps around to the other side onto this. Now it's a white rod. So it's like that. There's no internal catch on this, so it's kind of a bummer. So to load, you have to pull it down with your finger and hold it in place as you put the bullets in, then push the bullets down. So that's how you load the magazine. Before you load the mag, obviously it's a good idea to load the gun up with its rubber bands. So once again, go ahead and push out your pins, these 2 pins here and there. Just push them out, boom, boom. Pull them out the rest of the way, right there. Pull out this one up front, and the rail is going to fly off, so be very careful. It tends to just slide off with ease. Obviously the rail, and then we're going to go ahead and put some rubber bands on this thing and shoot it. So obviously, once again, I built this gun to use number 33 rubber bands. It will not work with anything else. You have to use 33s, unless of course you modify it to use something else. And by modify, I mean simply just move the front connection where the rubber bands connect to. Just move it up and down, depending on what rubber band you have. I don't think you can go too much further back into the gun because the rubber bands won't be able to exit. So if you go with a different size, I would recommend using 117s and increase the barrel way out, and then hook the 117 at the end of the barrel. That way you're going to get a ton of power and the rubber band is going to clear no matter what. It'll actually shoot better than these. But for now, we're going to load it with 33s. I have 8 here. So hook it on the front, right there, go all the way back, hook it onto here, like I explained to you before. Now make sure to pull the trigger after you apply some backwards pressure to the cog. Pull the cog back, pull the trigger, and it's going to give you the next spot. I cannot stress that enough. So I will hook another rubber band on there, pull it back. Be careful while you're loading these rubber bands too, the 33 size. They do have a tendency to snap as well, which is really frustrating because then you have to redo the entire cog if one rubber band snaps. So just pay extra mind where you're putting the rubber bands. And I guess I don't have 8. I don't know where they all went, but they're gone. I loaded up with a few rubber bands. I know, off camera, I'm just trying to save some time here, but we'll go ahead and load the magazine together. So once again, pull down on the pusher as you're loading her up and load away. Put some gray connectors in here. I know I say that I'm trying to save time, and then here I am loading a magazine, but oh well. All right, we got 8 rounds in there, excuse me. Maybe a little bit less, I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and stick right in here and let it feed. So depending on how you loaded the rubber bands, you might have to pull the trigger once to engage it, and then you can shoot it. So that's the case here. So I'll just demonstrate it now. Now we're ready to shoot. It's a very fun gun. So yeah, that's it. I didn't load all 8, I know, I'm pathetic, but once again, trying to save time here. And so yeah, thank you again for watching. If this is your first time building with me, thank you so much. I hope you like this. I hope you have a fun time experimenting with it. And I appreciate you for giving me and this gun a try. If you built with me before, thanks again for being loyal. I appreciate it. Let me know what your thoughts are on this gun. Any suggestions, any improvements that I could make. And yeah, until then, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.